another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show. I'm glad you're tuned in at thebmgnetwork.com or on YouTube or at adrienneross.substack.com or a major podcast platform. I'm going to dive right into today's conversation. I don't intend to have a long conversation today. Actually, I expect it to be rather brief. And we're going to be talking about the indictment of former President Donald Trump. The indictment of former President Donald Trump. And it's not going to be long for a couple reasons. One, I am actually recording this just a couple days after the indictment. And this doesn't come to you, it doesn't get on the air until Tuesday. So I am sure that there will be more things to unfold and unpack between the time I'm speaking this right now and the time you actually see or hear it. And so I'm not going to say a whole lot because it would probably have changed by the time you get to hear or see this. Okay, I know that the president, the former president, however you choose to refer to him, will reportedly will be turning himself in on Tuesday, which if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, which would be today, that could have happened already, not have happened already by the time you see this. So you see why I'm holding back a little bit, because again, things are subject to change from the time I'm recording this to the time you're hearing this or seeing this. Okay. The other reason is I'm going to be on the road, and I'm not going to have an opportunity to do a podcast while I'm on the road. Otherwise, I would have just waited to record after some more things unfold, but I won't have an opportunity to do that. So I wanted to come to you and share some thoughts with you that I feel are very important to share, but I'm not going to have a whole lot to say. I'm not going to break down the full ridiculousness of this indictment. I'm assuming you have been hearing about it. I'm assuming you've heard from some legal experts who will tell you that this is absolutely bogus. And perhaps you follow me at adrienneross.substack.com and you've already read what I had to say when the indictment came down. I put a column out after I heard the news, so it was shortly after the indictment announcement. So, unless you're just completely confused, completely deceived, live under a rock, or suffering from a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome, you know that this is absolutely bogus. Alvin Bragg apparently campaigned on the promise to take down Donald Trump. And so here he is absolutely weaponizing his position and doing serious harm to our justice system as Americans. Again, I'm not going to get into all that. I'm not going to go deeply into the fact that he's George Soros funded, although apparently Soros and Democrats are pushing back on that, saying that Soros did not fund Alvin Bragg's campaign. Well, supposedly, he's saying he gave money to an organization and that organization gave money to Alvin Bragg. Well, we weren't born yesterday. We know how that works. Okay. I give money to you, you give money to him, but I had nothing to do with it. Okay. So I want to talk about the fact that every one of us should be extremely disturbed by this indictment of a former president. And under these circumstances, like I said, I'm not going to get into all the legality of it, the statute of limitations, the fact that it's, that there were people before Alvin Bragg who wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole because there's no there, as they say. It's so anyway, we know that it's bogus. We know that this is a situation where someone is going after his political enemy. And that's why I say we as Americans should be extremely, extremely concerned, because we're America. We're supposed to be the nation where there's freedom and liberty and fairness and rule of law. We're not a banana republic. We don't punish our political enemies. We allow people to have a voice in the voting booth. But we're at the point now where those rules are out the window. And that's not just a problem for Donald Trump, as much as they've come after him. That's a problem for our country. That's a problem for our way of life. That's a problem for our future. It's dangerous. It's dangerous when someone can decide that he's going to take down a person. And so if you're saying, I've heard others say, well, this wasn't just Alvin Bragg, the New York district attorney, this is a grand jury indictment. Yeah, and as the saying goes, you can indict a ham sandwich. Okay, so you're going to take the former president of the United States and you're going to do everything you possibly can to make sure that he doesn't run. Like I said, people will always show you the one they fear, and they are afraid of Donald Trump. And I am so blown away by the fact that this man does not need a position. This man did not have to run for president, did not have to refuse to take a salary, okay? He doesn't have to put himself out there with everything that has been thrown his way, yet he continues to stay in the fight. He's a fighter. He's not going to let people run him off, and he doesn't need the position, okay? He was an amazing president, and people who are caught up in personality or caught up in the fact that he crushed Hillary Clinton's dreams of becoming president, or caught up in the fact that he is the Democrats' worst nightmare, and that he's not going to be bought and sold, and he's not going to be told to sit down and shut up, and he's not going to kowtow to these foreign countries. Those people who don't like that, they are willing to do everything possible to keep this man away from the White House, to lock him up, even when you don't have a case. Even when you campaigned and said that you're out there saying that this is what you're going to do. And there are people in the Democrat Party who are applauding this indictment all over social media and the media. But I'm grateful that there are also people who are not friendly with Trump, but they know that this is not the road to go down. They know that this is absolutely ridiculous and it's frightening for the country. This is not what you do. This is scary. It's a scary time when you have Representative Nancy Pelosi, the former Speaker of the House, someone with the power that Nancy Pelosi has, who ought to know better, has said that Donald Trump can prove his innocence like everybody else. No one's above the law. He can prove his innocence. It doesn't work that way in this country, does it? Again, this is scary times, because these people who think that they know everything, who think they have all the power, this is what they're saying. He can prove his innocence. I thought that you were innocent until proven guilty. And we know that there's no proof of that. We know that this is a farce, a joke, more of a hit on Donald Trump, more of Trump derangement syndrome. And people can weaponize their position to take down political enemies, then none of us is safe if that's the case. And so for those who want to look the other way or laugh and applaud and all that, listen, Donald Trump today, maybe you tomorrow. Is that what we're going to do? Find a way to lock up political opponents, political enemies, so they can't run a campaign like they should have a right to do? Scary, scary times. And I'm grateful for the people who may not like Donald Trump, but they like our justice. They like what's right. They like the rule of law, and they're not willing to trample on it to go after an individual they don't like. I put out a column, like I said, shortly after the indictment went down. And one of the things that I did point out was that I'm grateful that Donald Trump is still remaining focused on what he's running to do. So I'm going to take a look at that. First of all, before I even get to that, he responded to the news of the indictment this way. He said, "From the time I came down the golden escalator at Trump Tower, and even before I was sworn in as your president of the United States, the radical left Democrats, the enemy of the hardworking men and women of this country, have been engaged in a witch hunt to destroy the Make America Great Again movement. You remember it just like I do. Russia, 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 the Mueller hoax, Ukraine, 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 impeachment hoax 1, impeachment hoax 2, the illegal and unconstitutional Mar-a-Lago raid, and now this." And he left out the January 6th, right? At least in this quote here. Don't forget that. That's that nonsense that's still going on, that's blaming him for something that is an absolute, complete, bogus accusation. Ridiculous. Anyway, I started off saying a moment ago that I appreciate that he is still remaining focused on what he intends to do for the country. And in his official statement ended by saying, "This is merely an attempt to stop a man that is leading in every poll against both Republicans and Democrats by wide margins from running again for the presidency. The reason I'm leading in the polls is because Democrats have caused record inflation, sky-high gas prices, energy dependence on our adversaries, the education system is in crisis, illegal aliens are invading our border, the supply chain has crippled our way of life, parents can't get baby formula, mandates have crippled businesses, and our way of life has been crushed by government regulations. The United States is being destroyed. The Democrats know that I would correct all of this, and they are doing everything in their power to stop me. But we can't be stopped. We have to save America." And this is in the column that I wrote, like I said, after the indictment, and I entitled it, "Manhattan Grand Jury Just Guaranteed the Renomination of Donald Trump." Manhattan Grand Jury just guaranteed the renomination of Donald Trump. And I'm not the only one who's saying this. In fact, there are people who are not just saying this guarantees his renomination, but that this guarantees that he will be the president again. See, this is going to backfire. And I really believe that this is going to backfire. This injustice, these bogus charges, this attempt to take down a political opponent, it's not going to work. I believe that Donald Trump will emerge victorious, but it is a sad thing that he even has to go through this. Again, there was no there. That was already known. Others didn't want to touch it. And concerning the Stormy Daniels stuff, I mean, that was like, well, if anything, that would have been a misdemeanor. But again, the statute of limitations, and again, you know, he said it didn't happen. She reportedly said it didn't happen. There's no evidence that happened, whatever. So they've got all this other stuff that they pull up that, again, well, I guess he's the ham sandwich in this situation. But we all know what this is all about. And it's a shame. And every one of us should be concerned. Even former governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, commented on this, stating, and I'm not sure if he commented before the actual indictment or when it was looming, but he started pointing out all these different attacks on Donald Trump, all these different accusations, all this stuff. And he made a comment like, you really think that all this is random? No, it's not random, please. And if you're thinking that, stop lying to yourself, because you gotta know better. But it's not just about Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump has said before, he said it's not really me they're going after. He's like, they're going after you. It's you. And you, to me, it's not you've got to understand, those of you on the left, you've got to understand, it's not just the you who happens to be on the right side of the aisle. If you're a conservative, if you're a Republican, whatever, understand this is about our way of life and doing the right thing. Okay, there's no hope for any of us if we allow people who hold positions of power to use it any way they want and to stretch the law and to do what they want to do because there's someone who is a viable candidate who was once president and a viable candidate to take out your man or your woman or whoever you're putting out there to run against him. This cannot be, and it will not be. Why? Because we, the people, have eyes to see, ears to hear, and we're not stupid. And I'm not saying that, I'm not calling for or saying anything about any kind of violence, because you know how people like to read what's not there. It's not what I'm saying. But we, the people, have a voice. And we can exercise that voice. And we can say, no, we are not going to stand for this. We can't. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If you love this country, and I know there are people on the whatever side of the aisle, take your pick, who don't love the country. But I believe that more people do than don't. And we know right from wrong. And we know that this is absolutely wrong. It is unholy, unprecedented. It's unbelievable, really. But I guess not, because, Trump, bad man. We better wake up. If your head is buried in the sand, get it out. Get it out, because this is bigger than a man. This is about a nation. This is about a nation. So, as I said, I'm not going to stay long before you. This again is just a couple days after that indictment. By the time you're listening to this, who knows what has happened at that point? But I know that that there's more, obviously, that's going to unfold in the coming days. But I wanted to just address where we are at the time of this recording. So I will catch up with you the next time on the Adrienne Ross Show. In the meantime, please go to thebmgnetwork.com and check out the other podcasts there. I always say we're engaging and enlightening and informative and even entertaining. And also please subscribe to adrienneross.substack.com. It's my new column. It used to be adriennerosscolumn.com, and now it's adrienneross.substack.com. That's where the columns are. That's where podcasts are. It's a great platform, and you can check out the subscription options there. There are a few subscription options. In fact, just today, I got my first gold subscriber. There are several options. Gold is the top, and I got my first gold subscriber, and I love that. And you can check that out at adrienneross.substack.com/subscribe, and you can see the options and you can subscribe. Check it out and subscribe. I appreciate your support. It will enable me to continue to bring you incredible content. There is a free subscription. With the free subscription, you only get occasional content, only occasional columns. But if you will consider a paid subscription, you're going to get premium content. So go check it out. Either way, I really appreciate your support, because we got to have people who are willing to be a voice. And I get to do that through writing. I get to do that through speaking. I'm not just speaking for me. I believe that I'm speaking for the heart of the nation and for what's important. And I believe I'm doing what God has called me to do. And I would love for you to partner with me and help me to do that. All right. So also go to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen and leave a rating and a review so that I can share it with everyone. All right. And that is it for now. Thank you again for tuning into the Adrienne Ross Show. God bless you abundantly.